either love WALL-E or... Actually, I can't think of anyone that hates WALL-E, but there are some people who are indifferent to it. Bottom line, there seems to be these two camps in terms of talking about the movie. Those who love the movie from beginning to end, and those who like the first half but don't really like the second half that much. And sad to say, I'm kind of in that second boat. I don't hate it, it's just after the first act, okay, let's go ahead and take a look at it. It's the future, and mankind has abandoned Earth. Why? Because we polluted it with so much garbage and everything else that nothing can actually live there. They started building these robots to try and clean up all the garbage, but they all eventually died out. That is except for one. That, of course, is WALL-E. Despite the fact that he's really the only survivor left on Earth, he still continues on with his everyday job. He does have a personality though, including being incredibly lonely, kind of a hopeless romantic, and an absolute fanboy for Hello Dolly. Things start to change though when another robot named Eve approaches the planet. At first she seems very destructive, but WALL-E manages to find a way into her heart and form a strong friendship. But their friendship has to be put on hold when she discovers a plant growing. She takes this back to where mankind is now living, on a sort of space cruise where mankind has now grown very accustomed to being fat and lazy, and just letting technology do all the work for them. Look, they don't even have to use their legs anymore. WALL-E comes along and it's a hair-raising adventure to see who can get the plan to humanity first, and show that Earth is still an inhabitable planet. You can probably guess which halves people seem to like or dislike with this movie. A lot of people seem to really enjoy the first half where there's little to no dialogue, a lot of atmosphere, a lot of quiet moments, and all we have to focus on is the friendship/romance of these two machines. It's very slow, and I think a lot of people thought they'd be bored by it, but actually this is the part that most people seem to enjoy the most. The second half I don't think goes downhill, it just isn't as good as the first half. We see what mankind is up to, we see they're not totally beyond hope, that they do in fact have some likability, and yeah, we want to see them return to Earth and repopulate the species again. I guess my major issues with the second half is, one, we know what the lesson is going to be. Hell, we know what the lesson is in the first second of the movie. It's a cautionary tale about the future and technology and pollution, and yeah, it's good, and it was much more powerful when you didn't hammer it in. The environment is all you need. My second issue is that the world that they create for humanity is not all that interesting. And I don't know why. The ship should be really cool with all the high-tech gadgets and technology and all the funny little jokes they have going on. And they're by no means awful, it's just not Pixar's A-game joke material. The humans all sort of look the same and act the same, and a lot of the other robots aren't really that memorable, and the commentary is pretty clear, and yeah, is it awful? No. I think a lot of people just thought after that first half there was something even stronger that was building up to, like an even bigger conspiracy. And there is one, sort of. The ship's computer does sort of a HAL 9000 and doesn't want humanity to return, but there's nothing that much to it. I think a lot of people would have been happier if they either just kept it on Earth the whole time and humanity was sort of the great mystery, or maybe if the second half was like a space adventure where they go through all sorts of different worlds and planets and galaxies and, I don't know, just something a little stronger than this. But honestly, I think it's just the Lilo and Stitch effect. It's not that one part is necessarily bad, it's just that one part was so unbelievably good it overshadows the other half. Some points are weird, like I don't know why they have live action people at some times and then computer generated ones at others. They don't try to make the CG people look like real people, so it's kind of distracting. I also never got how if Eve is supposed to be the machine that goes down and tries to find life, the delicate life that she needs to protect, how come she keeps blowing up everything? Like if anything moves, she just destroys it. Isn't that kind of going against what the mission is? Well, outside of that, I think WALL-E is a very enjoyable picture. I think it could have been an unbelievable film if it kept the tone it had in the first half, but it's still smart enough, and it still has some creativity, and it still keeps your interest. So I like the film. I don't know if I see it that many times again, but I think it was enjoyable once. It has some entertaining as well as mature moments for kids, and it has some great atmosphere for adults. And in my opinion, that's more than enough to recommend it. Well, with how many times I've constantly praised the Toy Story series, you would think that Toy Story or Toy Story 2 would be my favorite Pixar film. And actually, they are not. That distinction goes to Up. In my opinion, one of the most perfect family animated films that has ever been made. It's funny, it's emotional, it has memorable characters, it's colorful, it's bright, the story's easy to follow, you get wrapped up in the drama, it has tons of memorable moments. It's basically what I think of when I think of a perfect movie. What's the premise? A little boy meets a little girl and they instantly fall in love. Well, not instantly, he's a little shy and she's an over-the-top energy-holic. But they do have something in common, that they both love adventure and they love to travel. They make a pact that they will go on an adventure sometime, but unfortunately all sorts of real-life events constantly get in the way. But they live a good life all the way up until old age, until her untimely death. Obsessed over the loss of his wife, the little boy has turned into a grouchy old man, who's about to lose his home, so he takes matters into his own hands and ties a bunch of balloons to the house and takes off into the sky. Off to have an adventure searching for that patch of land him and his wife always talked about getting. Along the way, of course, he comes across some colorful characters, including a Boy Scout who accidentally got roped in, a rare bird who seems to get along with the boy, a dog named Doug. Yes, now a new generation of children with that name are going to suffer. You're off the hook for now, Nickelodeon! And an old pilot whose lifelong search for the bird has driven him insane, determined in capturing the creature even if it means killing anyone in the way. On the surface, the story doesn't sound like much. In fact, it even sounds silly. And yeah, it is silly. I didn't even get to the point about the dogs flying the little airplanes. Yeah, there's dogs flying little airplanes in this. But if you're willing to buy surreal ideas like a house that can take off with 1,000,000 balloons, you know what? You'll buy stuff like that as well. And that's what the film manages to do. It manages to pull you in with every silly, over-the-top gesture because the dramatic moments are just as equally strong. You immediately identify with the girl and the boy in the opening. And I'm sure you've heard everybody talk about the first 10 minutes and how unbelievably good they are. And yeah, they are. My brother and I used to joke that you could just slap the end after the first 10 minutes and the audience would probably be satisfied. It's the history of their life as a couple together without any dialogue. It's all done through visuals and music, and honestly, I didn't think they were gonna top it. I thought maybe they played their trump card too early. But the rest of the film is so imaginative and so colorful and so likable that it's impossible not to get as drawn in as you were with the first 10 minutes. The bird never says a word, and yet it has a lot of personality. The relationship between the boy and the old man has its funny moments, but also has its touching moments. The way they nail the personality of a dog by giving it a voice box is ingenious. Even the side villains! As soon as this threatening hound showed up, I remember thinking to myself, oh gee, here's the killjoy, no funny things are gonna come out of this guy. But sure enough...
No. Soon enough the bird will be ours yet again.
This had me pissing my pants all the way through. Yeah, it's childish. I know all they do is speed up the voice, but by God, when you put that voice against that threatening image, it's hilarious. Up has the perfect amount of drama, comedy, material for adults, and material for children. It doesn't need a whole slew ton of characters to sell toys with, it only needs a couple. But the couple they choose are so good and so likable that it's all you need. I'd say the only nitpick I have with it is how is it that the boy is watching the pilot when he's young, and yet when they meet up, they look roughly the same age? I don't know, shouldn't that pilot be dead by now? I kept expecting them to explain that, but they never do. But honestly, if that's the biggest problem with the film, I have little to complain about. I can't think of anything else wrong with this film. The love is genuine, the friendship is genuine. The characters are genuine, the situations, as crazy as they are, seem remarkably genuine. It's a strange story with strange people. But hey, how many great tales have started off with this is a normal story with normal people? For all these reasons and more, if I even needed more, Up is my all-time favorite Pixar film.
In radio c'è un pulcino